And what's happening, y'all? It's Corn Shell. And today I'm gonna talk about when I was on juvie papers back late 2015. That was my last case. The case I was getting. I'm gonna talk about the case I was getting adjudicated on. Basically, the case I got certified on. The last case. Basically what was going on when I spoke to him. It wasn't any type of conversation where it was confidential information. The conversation was basically a regular conversation and everything. But the conversation was basically a regular conversation. It wasn't anything going on as far as somebody catching the case from what I was talking about, or me incriminating myself, or basically me being ready to testify about something that was going on. Basically, what was going on was, he had questions for me. He asked questions for me. I gave him my response. I answered to him. I know a damn thing about anything or anything. And then I made up some story. And the story was lie. It was a good lie. The story was a good lie. The story was basically good lie. I can say and understand what a good lie sounds like. I can say and understand what a good lie sounds like. Somebody can say they have a family member, but how they saying that his family member is basically after that they would say, him from how he bought a car or something like that. That can't be a family member if you know him just from buying a car. Like, how does that sound? It sounds like you're lying if you still got a family member and you just know him from buying a car. Like, that's bullshit. You bullshitting. And basically that's basically what I was doing. I was bullshitting. And basically I told him it was okay if he asked me if I'm loyal, humble, respectful, and if I have a good sense of humor. I told him basically he could ask me. Now, then basically what else I was lying about was a whole year and a half ago about knowing him from something from a year and a half ago about basketball. When the whole time the high school I was going to, they ain't even see me for a good 2.5 years, 3 years. Yeah, so I was bullshitting right there. I was bullshitting right there about that. And then basically it was like, my PO was like, he basically said he basically had asked me. He basically had asked me. He basically had asked me everything he had asked me when he was asking me. When he really had asked me. After he said, would I be willing to testify? I basically told him, why would I testify? And then it was over. Basically, it was over after that. And then.
That's my sister. Because that is sister. Because justice.
Basically, I can say and talk about all the ways I was I can say and talk about all the ways I was bullshitting when I was talking to him. Here's one way I was bullshitting. I was bullshitting because I said I know him from basketball. I was bullshitting because I said I know him from basketball, and then from a year and a half ago. And then basically the whole time. This was between October 20th and October 30th of 2015. if I go back a year from that, I was in juvenile placement. If I go back another year from that, if I go back another year from that, I was in juvenile detention. I was in South Mountain Youth Center. I was in a Baxter Youth Center, South Mountain. I was in South Mountain. Basically, and here's another way I was bullshit because I basically said no, I didn't. I basically said I know when he got off probation. I basically said I knew when he got off probation, but I ain't gave him probation. A probation getting off date. I ain't make up a date where he got off probation. So then he can know I was bullshit because he can look up somebody named Marquise Baskerville and see if they were on probation. But basically, when I was basically talking about it, he can look it up and see if there's a light skinned Marquise Baskerville that was on probation. No, it wasn't. Basically, he can ask basically a couple families, or basically the family I was in, and ask them, does he have a cousin named Marquise Baskerville? They'd be like, somebody probably gonna be like, I don't think so. And then I was lying because I basically said that he had left around the corner from me. And then basically my immediate family members would basically be like, they supposed, like I said, they supposed to be like, no, basically they, you know, they would have been like they would have been through that, or they'd have been like basically, nah, he was lying about having immediate cousin that lived around the corner. That's another way I can say I was bullshitting. Another way I can say I was bullshitting was basically like when I had said another way. I remember all the addresses I lived. I remember all the addresses I lived. I remember all the addresses I had. I remember all the addresses I lived. My whole life, I remember every address I lived. I remember every address I stayed at, that I lived at. Basically, my whole life. So I at least say that I was bullshit.